The new documentary, Going Varsity in Mariachi, gives audiences a front row seat to the highly competitive world of high school mariachi bands in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. Really competitive. Please welcome to the studio the movie's directors, Sam Osborn and Alejandra Vasquez, producer, Julia Pontecorvo, got it, along with one of the Edinburg North High School band members and the star of the movie, Abby Garcia. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Abby, your first South by Southwest. How is the experience?
It's been great so far. It's been really fun.
And the community has really embraced y'all because, of course, a documentary about the highly competitive world of high school mariachi. When they're premiering their documentary, you got to roll out with a mariachi band. And I'm on Twitter and I'm like, wow, they bought an actual mariachi band here and performed. Congrats all for the movie. We're in Texas, and Texas shares a border with Mexico. There are a lot of folks here who have roots in both countries. And America's comfortable now with Tex-Mex and the breakfast taco and Spanglish. But the culture of mariachi, right? Talk to us, Alejandra, about the culture of mariachi and why it's so important to this community in Texas.
I mean, mariachi is in our blood. It's in our DNA. It's so important to us. It's how we tell our stories. It's how we get together and laugh and celebrate. I mean, it's the music that follows us throughout our journey in life. And so it's super vital to our culture, and now young people are taking it on and
You're still young.
Music.
You're still young.
The youth.
youngish.
Yeah.
No, but at the high school level, I didn't really know about high school mariachi before doing this project, and so I didn't know that high schoolers were playing this music that's super traditional and important to us and making it their own.
Sam, y'all are the tag team behind this, the Visions, and you have roots, proud roots, right? Mexican American, both. Believe it or not, they can coexist. Who would have thought? And for you, did you have the same experience? We're like, all right, we grew up with this, we know this music, it's in our blood, but the youth is crushing it. What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a huge appetite for it. I think UIL, the governing body in Texas that makes these things happen, just sanctioned it 2 or 3 years ago. The first year there was 65 teams, and now there's 165 teams.
Whoa.
So it's just it's growing immediately. And I think we're doing, it's amazing that mariachi's here and it's being competed at the level. We're doing the American thing, we're making it really competitive.
Of course. Which one? Well, who's the best?
Who's the best mariachi?
Who's number one? Pull yourself up from the guitar strings and work harder.
But they make it friendly. It's not a mean competition. It's really meant to be so everyone gets involved.
It's a community affair. It's a family affair, right? The mariachi band comes. It's a moment of joy, and for many of us Americans, we're like, oh, the mariachi band. It's authentic when we go to the restaurant. But that's the soundtrack of your lives. And I'm going to get the star in the show here. But Julia, when it comes to, well, we're going to make a movie about this. What was the decision to be like, audiences need to see this story?
Well, these guys had filmed a short film about Edinburg North High School prior to starting working on the feature. And I got involved. They had pitched, I was running a small development fund, and they had pitched the idea of a feature, and there had been, hundreds of applicants of folks who were interested and, looking for a producer, looking for a way to make their film happen. And this idea was by far the most compelling, the most interesting, the most rich. And I think they're, what they had done previously gave a taste of what this could be. And I was like, oh, I know very little about this world, and it's an opportunity to go into a culture that I'm not familiar with and learn something new. And it was a wonderful experience, and getting to know the Valley and getting to know border culture and the nuance, the diversity within the culture was amazing.
What's the culture? It's mariachi music, but it's also the people. And the star, one of the stars, Abby, welcome. And your voice, and you are, without giving too much away, you are part of this high school band that's in this competition, right? And they're prepping for, it's Bring It On, Mariachi edition. And you see, these two filmmakers, they come up to you and say, listen, we're gonna put a camera right in your face and follow you and your family, not just your colleagues and your families around. Trust us. What made you open up to these two?
There was a lot of off-camera times when we hung out with them, so they made it really comfortable for us. They became friends really fast, and part of our family and part of the mariachi family, and they did whatever we didn't want on camera, they were really respectful of that, and they made it really easy to film with.
But you know, everyone says, hey, just pretend there's no camera on you. And you're like, cool, sure. You know, just be natural. But when there is a camera on you, you perform, right? And especially the young generation, there's always a camera. When did it come to a point where, because they're so immersive, right? And they take you to the training, to the competition, to the highs, to the lows, literally inside your homes. When did you get so comfortable just living your life that you forgot a camera was there?
I think it happened pretty fast. It was somewhere in the beginning of the year because they already started filming in the summer. And I think by like October, a few months in, it was like kind of just forgetting because we were so focused on competition and stuff. So we kind of didn't have time to worry about the camera around us, and we had to focus on the music. And I think that's why it happened really fast.
And you know, speaking about the music, you're born and raised here. You come from a Mexican-American family. How did mariachi music come to really inspire you to be like, you know what, as a young American student, I'm going to participate in this. And not only participate in it, I'm going to be competitive in this.
So I grew up around mariachi. My family's always playing it. My mom, every car ride, she's playing mariachi music. And so in 6th grade, when it came time to choose our electives, my mom's like, you got to play violin to be in mariachi. And at the time, I was like, I don't like mariachi. I don't want to do it. And I joined it, and I was like, I'm just going to do orchestra and stick with that. And then 8th grade happened, and mariachi was introduced at the middle school, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. My mom was kind of like, you need to do it. So I was like,
no, you are giving it a shot.
Yeah,
you are doing this.
Basically, but I fell in love with it really fast. It was an outlet for any the stress I was going through or anything happening. That it was just kind of playing the music and performing was like a time separate from reality. So it was just like, I think it was like a comfort to me.
You know, and I want to ask this question. It comes from a place of joy and a place of your mom saying, you better do it. You want to eat? You better do it. But then whenever you do something where it comes from joy and it's fun, but it also becomes competitive, it's sometimes, even in sports, right, you lose focus, you lose sight of why you do it. And I had no idea this was so competitive. Like, I had no idea there was a competition. America, got to make a competition about everything. How do you stay grounded in the fact that this comes from a place of love, or does the competition itself make you so zoned into the end result that you sometimes lose sight of the big picture?
Mr. Acuña had made it to where we cared about the competition, but he wanted to teach us to be mariachis, and to be ready for adulthood once we're out of high school. So we didn't just learn competition music, we learned hours of music, the standards, the basics of mariachi. And so he taught us, don't just focus on the competition. And I think doing that is what helped us in competition. Because like we didn't just do competitions, we did gigs outside and performed for different things, for like parties and stuff like that. So I think doing that made us not focus on the competition, but also made us focus on it in a way.
Yeah. But it's something bigger. It's the culture behind it.
It's the culture behind it,
to become
for
a
sure.
mariachi. And Mr. Acuña, Abel, was supposed to be here, but he fell sick. So can we look at the camera and just wish him well? And say, we were thinking about you, wishing you well. Personally, I think you got the evil eye. We need some prayers. We need a Mexican auntie to come here. We need to blow it off, right? Because people are like, oh man, this documentary is crushing it. I want to ask about you. Let's get about the culture of the mariachi, right? And Alejandra, when you said you grew up with it, and you knew it, but you didn't really know like the roots of it. When you just said something to be a mariachi, like what did you learn just filming it to become one?
Oh man, it takes so much. The musicianship, the discipline, the showmanship. It's not just, you don't have to just like be amazing at the music, you have to look amazing. Everybody has to look exactly the same. They have to move exactly the same. You have to sound and look amazing.
Always immaculate, right?
Always.
It's something, the subtle things that now, once you watch the documentary and you think about it, you're like, they're always dressed well. Dry cleaned, sharp, like no creases, right? In sync with the composure. The spine is always like, there's no slouching. I can never be a mariachi. So it's just like, you got to perform the craft. You got to make sure aesthetically you look good. The voice in harmony. And then also the countenance, right? The presentation, like all of it. And by the way, compete. And compete. And so Sam, when you were watching this, and you grew up with it, did it give you like this newfound respect for something that, for many Americans, is the background noise as we eat our taco?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is what we think of. It's a novelty thing. You go to a Mexican restaurant, guys come through, and that's to be respected still. I mean, that's how we hear it at quinceañeras and weddings and funerals and everything, but seeing what these guys are doing, which is making a big competition, man, there's 20 kids on these teams. And they're learning, and everything has to be precise down to like the lipstick the girls use. It all has to be the same.
Wow.
And but it really, I mean, one of the coaches in the film says it's the way you hold yourself. It's the way you like present yourself and how you represent your culture in this way. And I didn't know how deep and historical it really was, and how like when these students kind of stand up there, they're representing all that history and all that richness of culture, and they have to be, proud of it for it to work.
And I think representation is important. We have to talk about it, especially with what we're dealing with in this country right now, where people who look like us and have our last names and have parents who are bilingual and have ethnic food and ethnic music, it's seen as something foreign and something dangerous. And oftentimes, growing up as the one brown kid, when there weren't people who looked like me, when we stand up and represent, we're not just representing ourselves, we're representing our family, we're representing our community, we're representing a billion people, and we have to be perfect, right? And so when you have the luxury and benefit of coming from a community where there's others who look like you. But with a documentary now, it goes to the world. And so when you knew that the camera was coming on you, your family, your community, and whether you like it or not, you just can't be Abby. You're the Abby from this community. How did you take on that pressure in addition to the pressure of just being a kid?
I knew I had to present myself in a way because I'm representing the whole family, the mariachi, like you said, and even Mexican culture, because that's what mariachi is. And so I kind of just knew that, I couldn't be perfect, but I had to be as close. I had to be as close to perfect as I could, just in how I carried myself, in every aspect outside of mariachi and my classes and talking to anyone. I knew I had to be mature.
And, I mean, look, you're doing a great job, but also the filmmakers, right? Mexican Americans. It's not enough to be good. You got to be great. And and I want to ask that, things are getting better. Like, what's so amazing at this South by Southwest, right? We're live since the pandemic, right? We came back last year. It was amazing. We're back in person this year. And something that gives me so much joy is we've done I think 40 interviews now, and we're seeing so much content by creators of color who are really digging deep into their culture, and it's getting the mainstream support and the funding, right? And you're like, maybe, just maybe, there's a shift and a change. But as we know, you still got to represent. And so for the filmmakers, knowing that you have to represent this community, is it at a point where it's more liberating, or you still feel the pressure, like, Alejandra, I got to bring it. I got to bring it from my mom. I got to bring it from my community. I got to bring it from Mexican people. I got to bring it from all these white people and this white money. I got to show them that our culture matters.
Yeah. I totally felt that. I mean, I felt that I think what's special about our movie is that it's an underdog movie. It's, a movie.
In more ways than one.
In more ways than one. And it's maybe a movie that you've seen before, like a competition film, but it's with Mexican
Hoosiers,
kids,
with mariachi.
Yeah, it's all about representation and putting, behind the camera and in front of the camera, actually putting people that look like us, at making them movie stars. And I felt so much pressure from my family, from our funders, from everybody to just make something, because I think everybody was like, oh, how are other people going to relate to, a story about
It's all our parents, always. It's all our parents.
And it's they'll relate because it's so universal. They're going through stuff that everybody goes through, It's
But now that we talked about the pressure, let's talk about the flip side of the joy, is that when we release something from our culture that, and I'll just personalize it. When it comes to our stories, South Asia, what the aunties and uncles say. We all have the same aunties and uncles. What will the people think? Will they care? Will they really like chai? Do they like dal? Do they like Bollywood? Will they like mariachi? I don't know. Will they really? You need that validation and affirmation to take joy and pride in something that is so rooted in your culture. That's just the way it is sometimes when you're the other. But Sam, now you see the response to it, where you bring this out and you see the validation, you see the smiles, and you see the joy. Just when you brought out the band and played, does that just give you a sense of pride? Like, I knew this, and I was 2 steps ahead. And, mic drop.
I
And
mean,
this is a universal story about people who just happen to be Mexican American and who happen to play mariachi.
yeah, I mean, I think, well, I think we wanted to be really proud of what these kids were doing, but we wanted them to be real too.
Yeah.
The coach was like, don't you ever curse. And even yesterday, all the kids came up and be like, how many curse words made it to the movie?
Kids never curse.
None.
Never. Abby was like, never. Mom's watching. Mom's watching.
But we want it to be real, and I think that's like, I think the process of living there and being every day in the classroom made it so that we ended up getting the real thing, even though everyone wanted to be their perfect selves and represent themselves very, very idealistically. I think we ended up getting a real slice of the culture there, and I think that's what people are responding to, is that, I don't want to, authenticity is such a bad word, but like something real, something very sincere and genuine.
And I think you got that also because you went into their homes. And that's something, it'd be enough just to follow the journey in school or the training. But going to someone's home is as deep and personal as it gets. And I want to ask, how are your parents with this, right? It's like, listen, Mom, there's these 2 filmmakers, and they think we have a story, and they're going to bring the camera into our house, and they're just going to follow us around. Okay, cool. What did moms and pops and the family say?
My mom was excited, but my dad was like, we gotta clean, we gotta do this, we gotta get new couches. And I was like,
It sounds like I want authenticity.
Yeah.
This is authentic. New furniture.
Yeah, so they were freaking out at first, but again, like Sam and Alex, they talked to them. They talked to the parents a lot about what they're doing, made it very clear what everything was gonna be like, and that made them really comfortable with it.
Have your parents seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay, so listen. Immigrant parents, they operate in 2 modes. Blunt, very blunt. All right?
Yes.
Ruthless. All right? And compliments are like, it's not bad. All right? When you showed them the movie, were you nervous?
Very.
Okay.
Very, very nervous.
If you can, what did mom and pop say?
My mom was crying. She loved it. My mom loved it. My dad was crying too. I hadn't seen him it touched them a lot. They really liked it. They had so many hugs afterwards, and yeah.
And when the creative team, when you see the parents, when you see the subjects of your documentary cry, does that, you get the applause from South by Southwest, you'll get a lot of money, you'll become super famous, and I'll say, one day, I was talking to this team and they won the Oscar, but when you see that, how does that make you feel? And I'll start with Sam first. When you see that reaction, not from the audience, but from literally the people whom you said, trust me with your story.
I mean, it's just like it's a relief because, we shot it and then we left for like 9 months and worked on it. We weren't talking to them. We were just like working on it. And there's a million options when you're editing it. And you're trying to do the one that makes the most sense and is most genuine to their story. And then you present it back to them. And it could just go wrong. They could just be like,
Horribly
this
wrong.
is not what we did. You try your best, and for them to react in a real way means that we did something right on our side, that we were like stayed true to the story. And so it's a huge relief.
And Alejandra, the ethics behind this, because you got all the footage, and you're like, gotcha. And then now you leave, and people don't know with documentary filmmakers, they think, 90-minute movie. Probably took 3 months to make. It's like, takes years oftentimes. The ethics of the editing process where you're like, when this comes out, Abby's real. She has a family. There will be consequences, right? Just the process of that and then seeing the reaction.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we shot so much. We had like 300 hours of footage. So,
So there's the uncut version dropping.
oh yeah,
on
oh yeah,
Netflix.
so many scenes.
300 hours of mariachi.
But yeah, I mean, it's like we spend so much time in this community with these people, with their families, and we hope that, you know, it comes across in the film like it did when we were there. And, you know, we had to make some decisions, you know, like there were some students that we couldn't feature as much and we really wanted to, or, you know, we also filmed with other teams and I think they thought they were going to be more featured, you know, so there was like those kind of decisions that we made. But seeing the reaction has been so heartwarming. I mean, it's everything. It's like we wanted them to be proud. And, you know, we, like the principal of the school was at the screening yesterday, you know, and seeing his
Principal like
reaction.
it?
And he loved it.
Listen, you got mom, you got dad, you got principal. It's over. It's over. It's done. The flowers are already here, and we are very confident here that South by will love it. Congratulations. We're looking forward to your success and ascension. We knew you when. Remember that there was a Pakistani American brother who gave you a dap at South by back in the day. Congrats again. We'll be cheering, and we are cheering for the Mariachi Oro. That's the name of the band. Going Varsity and Mariachi screens on Wednesday, March 15th at 5:30 p.m. at the Stateside Theater, and again on Saturday, March 18th at the Alamo Lamar Theater at 2:30 p.m. We'll be back later today with human rights legend Martin Luther King III. These interviews are also streaming live during the event on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SXSW. I am Wajahat Ali, and thanks for watching.